Hello everyone, my name is Nex, and today I am going to show you how to build a 4-type, pretty fast tree farm with an optional wither cage. Now the wither cage design is from JX67, so I'm just going to say that straight away, but the rest is all mine. And well, as you can see, it is fairly fast. It could be made faster, but honestly it's not worth it for the added circuitry, because right now it is a fairly simple circuit, although it does look pretty massive. And yeah, if you decide to not build the wither cage, it will just give you all the logs in a, well, trunk shape, and you can make them regroup into a cube or anything like that you want. But to be honest, I think it's probably the best to use a wither cage. And you're seeing bedrock blocks, and yes, you can obtain those in survival. I will have a link to a guide for obtaining those in the description. So before I show you how to build this farm, I'm just going to give you some overview of how this farm works. So it is relatively simple. You start off by going in here, and depending on what type of tree you're going to use, just get yourself some saplings in your hand. And if you're going to use oak saplings, you're going to need to toggle this, because you need to limit the height for oak saplings to make them grow properly. Now the rest is pretty straightforward. You're going to want to fill this up entirely, and by entirely I mean entirely. It will empty itself because of course it will fill up those dispensers and those droppers that move all the items upwards. And yes, you do need to make sure that it's all filled up, because it will get emptier over time, and there's just a whole lot of things that could go wrong if you don't fill it up entirely. So anyways, what you're going to want to do is, here is your toggle. If you turn this on, this will turn your farm on, and you're going to want to have an auto clicker and just point right there, and as you can see, that will plant all the trees. So of course you have to be a player for you to do this, and you can't plant these saplings automatically, unfortunately. But yeah, it works like pretty much any other tree farm. And this layout is pretty fast, and I think it works pretty well. When I say 4-type tree farm, I mean that it works with the following tree types. It works with oak, spruce, birch, and jungle. And like I said, for oak, you do need to toggle this. This will push down a piston, and then you can turn it on again. And as you can see, it will work too. We need to limit the height of the oak in order to make sure that no tall or, well, you know, these bigger oak trees with branches grow, because that tree farm design is unable to handle branches, which, well, would complicate things by quite a lot. And this is pretty much my first tree farm, and after like 30 attempts or so, this one finally worked, so I'm pretty happy. But anyways, the other things you need to know is that, of course, you're going to want an empty dispenser, or, well, not empty, but you're going to want some saplings that are of the type that you are trying to farm. What you do need to keep in mind is that, of course, this will give you back saplings. As you can see, there's a lot of hoppers, and there are these leaf crushers, which will make sure that you get back some saplings. However, sometimes you'll get less and sometimes you will get more, so you're going to want to have some headroom. So that means just have a couple more saplings than what you would need at the very moment that you plant a sapling. So maybe have like half a stack in your inventory, and then it should all equal out and it will sustain you. So like I said, you just sit here with your auto clicker, and well, then it all gets automatically fed into this log stream right here. And yeah, well, that is how the tree farm works. Again, like I said, there's an optional wither cage attached, and I will also show you how to build that, of course. And that wither cage will break the blocks, and it's pretty much 100% drop rate for wither cages. And oh my, that is already full. Yeah, this is working pretty well, and of course I will show you how to build everything step by step. So before I show you how to build this, keep in mind that there will be a world download in the description, as well as a materials list for the tree farm alone, and also a materials list for the wither cage that you can add to this tree farm. And yeah, so that is pretty much all the basics that I have to explain to you. Now I can get into showing you how to build the farm. So, two things that you're going to want to know before you build this farm. First of all, you're going to want to build this facing north, because this is going to make things quite a bit easier when it comes to the breaking spots of the wither. What I mean by that is that the wither has specific breaking spots. It has a 4x4 orientation, and no, it is not 5x5 centered on the wither, and that's why making it north will be easier for me to demonstrate you where to build what. And the second thing is that in order for us to use a wither cage, we have to use a snow golem for us to generate snow layers so that he can, well, feed these snowballs created from the snow layers into a dispenser, which will aggro the wither. And that of course means that you cannot build this wither cage part inside of a savanna or desert biome. So we just recommend building it in either a normal or a cold biome, because in hot biomes it will not work. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. So first off, we're going to start with where you enter the tree farm. So let's just have 3 blocks like this. Take some droppers, just make them like this, 2 more on top, and dispensers like this. You're going to want to grab yourself 1 piece of dirt and place it right here. Now next up, just place 1 hopper facing into this dropper right here, and 2 more hoppers like this. And I'm going to say just now, these 2 top ones need to be dispensers and the rest is droppers, because the droppers can elevate items into a next container, and the dispensers have to be dispensers so that we can fast grow, well, the trees with the bone meal. Anyways, the next step for us will be to place our chest right here. And this chest is where we will input all of our bone meal. Now, of course, this is a little limited because tree farms will tear through bone meal like it is butter and a hot knife. So it is fairly easy to expand it, however, as in add more chests. And yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. Anyways, just take a piston and make it face down. And now for this you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to do it anyway because it makes it quieter. Just put a piece of obsidian right there. Put a lever facing, well, placed on that block. It is very important because otherwise you will power other things that you definitely don't want to power. Then just place 1 redstone torch right here. And place some slabs like this. It has to be slabs, otherwise it will power, well, these hoppers and it will not be a pleasant experience. Place 1 comparator right here. Put it on subtract mode. 1 solid block. And then just some redstone dust like this and like this. Place 1 repeater right here, another right here, and it will be very loud. Just turn that off with the lever right here. That will be the toggle, as you can see, and yeah. Next up, just take a dropper, make it facing that way on the side of that piece of dirt. This is what will feed you back the saplings. Go up by 1 block right here, place 1 redstone dust, we're going to use that later. Place 1 comparator facing like this, some blocks like this. We'll go up by 1 block, remove that, and then just like this. Repeater and 2 ticks, solid block, more redstone dust, and yeah. Then just make a 2x2 thing like this, solid block, repeater and 2 ticks, make it loop back like this, and just go up by 2. Then grab yourself a sticky piston and an observer. Take a normal piston, make it face up like this. Then just take 1 solid block, place it on the side of that piston, and then a repeater right there. Now I know it is kind of in the way and this is all kind of cramped because this is the main way you get in and it is not very fancy. But you know what, it doesn't really matter much if it's ugly, it's functional and it does its job. Anyways, what I recommend you do now is that now you do your filling of the dispensers with bone meal. And I'm just going to give myself some, well, some bone meal. So the ID is die. Let's give ourselves full inventory. And what you're going to want to do is, well, fill these up. The initial fill up is more practical if you do it manually. So let's just fill that up and give ourselves some more. And yeah, basically just fill up all of those, because later on it will be a little harder. And then you can reach those down there, just fill those up right there. Get yourself more bone meal, so let's just do that command. Fill everything up. And I know this seems kind of overkill, but it definitely is not overkill because you need tons of bonemeal to sustain a tree farm. So I'm just going to start filling that in, and the hoppers should fill themselves in automatically. Unlike the, well, droppers, which do need for the clock to be active to fill themselves up. And, well, I think that's enough for the time being. Let's just fill that up like this. And there we go. And that should be most of what you need. If we do turn this on, as you can see, it will be kind of quiet because right now it is filling all the droppers up. I guess I forgot those, didn't I? I guess I forgot that one. But either way, as you can see, it will fill everything up. And yeah, we can just turn this off and leave it like this. Next up, we're going to place the hoppers that feed the saplings back into this dropper right here. So just put 2 hoppers facing into this direction, so it should look like this. Then 2 hoppers like this. Hoppers like this. So they should face that way. This is going this way. These 2 are facing into this. And these 6 are facing into this. And then just have 3 hoppers like this. 2 hoppers. And 1 more hopper like this. And that should cover most of the area over which the leaf crushers are going to be. And this is basically going to allow you to get saplings back and sustain yourself while farming trees. Now go to this side right here and place 1 slab, place 1 redstone dust, 1 repeater on top of that hopper, and 1 block right here. And this is going to power both of the dispensers from the same clock that powers also all the droppers. And well, this will grow our trees. Let's turn that off for now. But what we are going to work on now is the piston layout, which is going to push, well, the entire tree into the proper position. Alright, let's start it. So let's get to the backside right here. And we're going to build up a column of 8 pistons. A sticky piston, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do the same right here. So we have 2 columns of sticky pistons, and then go up 7 from this dispenser right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should look like this. Let's go to the opposite side of that right here, and let's just put 1 block right here. And then 1 piston right here, and then go 7 up, so you have a total of 8 pistons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then just put some observers like this in a column, and then just salt blocks in front of the observers. And what you can do then is also just place some salt blocks right here. We'll finish that off later. This will just trigger all of the observers, which will trigger all of the normal pistons. Next up, just go right here and place a column of 8 sticky pistons. And what you're going to want to do now is place a column of observers like this. We're then going to take 4 slime blocks, so 4 slime blocks, and 4 honey blocks. This will perfectly line up with the 12 block push limit, since there will be 4, 4, and 4, and then here 4, 4, and 4 as well. And yeah, this makes things quite a lot more compact. This is like the only use for honey that I have found so far. Anyways, just go to the side where this block right here is, and then go up by 2, and then 2 again. And you're going to want to place sticky pistons like this. You can remove the blocks underneath now. We're going to fill in other blocks later. And then just make sure that you get to the same height right here. So it will be a total of 7 blocks, and you need to go up by 6 from each sticky piston. And then what you're going to want to do is just put some observers right here in front of the sticky pistons, of course. And like this. And once you're done with that, also place some dirt in front of there. This will be our first side of leaf crushers. Then do the same over here. 1 block. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Piston, 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 piston. Remove those. With that as well. Then just go up by 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same over here. And same over here. Then get your observers. Pistons, observers, pistons, and you guessed it, dirt. Now next up, just take some observers right here, and you're going to want to make them face this way. And then a column of dirt. Now, if you're wondering why we're using dirt all the time, it's because the area that trees check, which is mostly 5x5 centered on the sapling, will stop tree growth if there are most blocks within that area, except for the first layer that will not really matter that much, but it will ignore dirt, and that is why we are using dirt, because it will make pushing of, well, the leaves, well, crushing the leaves and pushing the logs easier. Anyways, that is our main piston layout almost done. You're just going to want to place one piston like this and one lever on the underside, and this is going to be a toggle for our oak mode. Anyways, place some glass right here. It has to be glass because there will be dust facing into the blocks, and we don't want those sticky pistons to power unnecessarily, so just have that. And well, from that point on, we can basically just fill in the rest of the gaps. So just fill that in. You can fill that in as well. That side has to be empty because that's where the logs will be fed, although I would put something like this. So just have something like this. And then on that side, you're just going to want to place some blocks right here. Don't place any block right here because, well, otherwise it would cut off the dust and we don't want that. However, on the other side, you can completely close it off like this. Next up, let's go to the back side. I'm just actually going to grab myself some slabs and redstone dust, of course. You're going to want to go up by 2 like this. Don't place any redstone dust on there yet because we're going to use blocks to help us do the slab column, because otherwise it will be very hard. So you're just going to want to go up 4 slabs like this as shown, and then place one solid block right there. It has to be a solid block in order for both pistons to get powered, and just make that column, and that will power both pistons, which will be the retraction system for the logs. Anyways, what we're going to work on now is the leaf crushers. So just make some stripes like this. And before you move on to the next layer, just put some redstone dust because, well, we need to power everything, of course. And yeah, do that for every layer. And this layer is going to be the last one. And do the same thing on the other side. So just like this. You can actually just put salt blocks straight away and then place the redstone dust. Although it will be a little more tedious, but not really. But yeah, so that is both sides like this. What we're going to want to do now is go out by one block down, and then place the slabs just like this, and redstone dust, and you get the deal. And do the same thing on the other side, slabs, and redstone dust. Now next up, just go up by one block like this, and you're going to want to place one, well, redstone dust on top of there, then just one of that, and go like this. Now what you're going to want to do is place normal pistons in front of the observers, spaced out by one block. So facing up, like this. And as you can see, this will trigger every observer, because of course the piston arm extension also gets detected. The next step is fairly simple. Just take some redstone dust and take one more repeater on one tick. That's fairly simple. And then what you're going to want to do is go up by one block like this, place one repeater like this, and dust. And well, that is the wiring. Of course, you also need to finish wiring up this right here. So just put solid blocks spaced out by one block, because we're going to put the redstone dust on there, of course. And then do a tower of slabs and place these alternating. Now, what I was talking about earlier with the dust facing into the blocks right there, into where the glass is not something visual. But what actually happens here is that the piston only visually redirects the redstone dust. Of course, it gets powered to piston, but this redstone dust will still face into these blocks right here, which would power these pistons. And that would block, of course, these pistons from extending it, which would be a bad thing. And that's why we are using glass right here. Just place some salt blocks right here and more redstone dust. That will make sure that all of these get powered. Now the next step would be working on the oak mode system. So we're just going to place one temporary block on top of that column of dirt and place one piston facing down. Now the reason we are doing this is because we need to restrict the height of the oak clearance in order to make sure that no tall oak trees grow. And basically you need 6 blocks of clearance between the sapling and the block so that basically no tall oak trees grow. Let's just demonstrate this. So that's a sapling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when this is extended, this will be the 7th block. And this is how we restrict oak tree growth. Now next part, let's just cover this up in glass. We're going to cover up the little 5x5 area. And you can use solid blocks, but I do prefer glass because it looks really nice. Then next up, just place one redstone block on top of the glass column. And then just go up by 2 blocks so that we can actually place our piston like this. Remove those. And I suppose you can just go up like this. And then just place some redstone dust like this. Now what this will do is that when we power this piston right below, as you can see, it will push the entire thing up. This piston will be powered until we unpower this piston right here. And then it will push the entire thing back down. And this is one easy way to send a signal up or down. And we're just going to hook this up by putting some redstone dust right over here. Now let's get back down and turn this back off. So as you can see, that will turn the entire thing off and this piston will not be extended anymore. We're going to do the same thing with this right here, which is also the same concept, but we are using it to trigger all these pistons through the observers. So just have one redstone block right here. And what you're going to want to do is place 2 blocks right here. Go up by 1, or I guess 2. So that you can place the piston, remove that, and more redstone dust like this. And yeah, you get the basic idea. So this is actually the tree farm itself complete, and we're going to give this a try. So let's just leave oak mode off for a moment. Let's turn it on, and let's try birch. As you can see, it will all get moved and most of the leaves will get crushed. Works pretty well, as you can see, everything gets crushed. And by the way, when I built this before, I forgot one piece of redstone dust right here, so make sure to add that in. Let's try out the oak mode. That will get limited, and as you can see, that does oak just fine. Now we can also use the other 2 saplings, so jungle and spruce. Turn oak mode off, and let's try spruce. Spruce will take a little longer, because, yeah, I don't know. And let's put... And as you can see, jungle will work fine as well. So yeah, that's pretty great. But do keep in mind that over time, this will reach push limit. So yeah, that is something to consider. Alright, so when you're at that stage, this is the initial tree farm complete. And if you do want, you can add a simple system that forms all these logs into a 12x12x12 cube, because that of course is the push limit. But I don't think it's really worth it. If you're going to mine it manually anyway, you might as well just make a tree farming grid, and that would be pretty simple. But either way, this is, like I said, the initial tree farm itself complete. And now I'm going to show you how to add a wither cage. We're just going to want to go to the backside, and we're going to be clearing out some of those logs to make it easier for us to work on the wither cage. Anyways, what you're going to want to make sure is that you go out 8 blocks from this point right here. This is where the slime and honey is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There you're going to want to place your first piston, so 1, then go up by 1, 2, 3. 3 pistons total. Place 1 block right here, 1 repeater, torch on the side of that block, and another solid block. And then just place some redstone dust right here. And this will detect whenever a log gets in range of these pistons, and it will just push them up. Then just place 4 pistons like this, and 4 more pistons like this, and these are going to push in that direction, which will basically push it into the wither cage. And it needs to be a 2x4 set of logs for it to be able to be properly broken by the wither. Next up, after you place those solid blocks and that redstone dust on the backside of those pistons, just go right in front of these 3 pistons and place some redstone dust right here. Place 1 block right here. Don't place the dust on top of it yet, because we're just going to place 1 slab right here, and then 1 more slab, and then 1 more slab. Just break all of those, and let's just put a repeater on 3 ticks. And some redstone dust. Now what we're going to want to do is just, let's place a temporary block to make it easier. Have 1 piston, 2 pistons, and 3 pistons, of course all facing down. Remove those blocks and put 2 redstone dust on there. You don't need a redstone dust on top of there, because that one is already facing into the piston. And as you can see, that will move all the blocks that get into this block stream right into the wither cage, which we're going to build now. So to continue, first make sure that you have indeed built it facing north, because if you haven't, then it won't be facing the proper direction for the breaking spots to work. And if you didn't, well, you will have to figure it out yourself. Anyways, let's just go up by 1 block and make a 5x5 platform. You can break that block, by the way. And this is where we're going to collect all of our wood. I'm just going to make an outline. So basically just have all of it surrounded. And this is where we will put our water. So just put it in that corner. And in the other corner, I'm going to put the chest. Now, it really doesn't matter in which corner you put the output, but in which corner you put the output. On the opposite side, put the water source. Anyways, we're just going to make every side 3 high. So just add 2 to each side. Except for this side, where you only add 1 block right here, because there will be the block stream. And there we go. Okay, for this part you have to be real careful, because we're going to add in the Bedrock wither cage. And yes, we have to use Bedrock for wither cages to work. And I do of course have a guide on how to obtain the Bedrock item down in the description, like I said before. Anyways, you're going to want to go to the center of this water platform right here. Just go up by 2. And then place your piece of Bedrock. You can remove those again. Go up by 2 again. And then carefully place a ring of Bedrock around like that. Remove those 2 blocks. And then 3 Bedrock on each side. Just like this. Next up, you're going to make a 5x5 platform. But you do remove the center. Or well, not remove it, but you don't put it there in the first place. So just like this. And then you're going to want to place 1 Bedrock on each side. And for the next layer, you are just going to want to repeat this. But you do have to close the top for the wither to not escape. So let's just do that. Of course, if you are in survival, don't be as fast as I'm. You have to be extra careful to not misplace anything, especially if you are on mobile. Because on mobile, yeah, you can place things really easily just by 1 mistap. Anyways, we're almost done with the Bedrock. Just place 2 Bedrock right here. 2 Bedrock right here, and 1 Bedrock right here. This will make sure that none of the items spill, and if we're using normal blocks, they will get broken by the wither, unfortunately. And yeah. So now that we built the wither cage, let's put the wither inside of there. Now again, this is facing north, so what you're going to want to do is make this T-shape of the wither on the west side. So this is north, this is on the left of this wither cage, and you have to do it this way or else it will land somewhere else and you will have a big problem on your hands. You can trust me on that one. So just put it like this, and then just put in 3 skulls, and as you can see, it will get right into the wither cage, which is perfect. That's exactly where you want this guy, because if you don't have him there, you will have some problems. And the initial explosion will not destroy anything around it, because, well, he kind of is stuck inside of a gigantic Bedrock cube. The next step is to take an observer and place it right here. So this will be 2 blocks from where this is, so 1 block spacing between those 2. It has to be at the very bottom, because if it's any higher, then there is the chance that, first of all, oak trees don't grow very high. The trees can actually generate only a single log, and this is supposed to be a fallen tree, you know, those where the trunk is separated from the base of the trunk and it's fallen over, but that doesn't work in a tree layout like this. So yeah, only one log generates, and this is why we need to have it done there. Anyways, just make a little staircase up, just like this. And have some redstone dust. Place one block right here. You have a dispenser facing right at the wither, and that is going to shoot the snowballs at the wither. Piston facing that way. Get yourself a hopper. And just put some blocks like this. And I suppose you can also put some blocks like this. What you're going to want to do is just put some blocks like this. And what we're going to do here is put a snow golem right there, but we're going to keep him stuck in between that glass pane, that little gap between the glass pane and the blocks, because golems are actually small enough, and if we do keep him in there, he will also generate snow on top of the hopper. So let's just do that, place him right there, and push him into the corner. Make sure to do that fast, because he does like to walk off, and that will not be very good. Anyways, let's just close that off. And just to be sure, take some snowballs and put them in the dispenser, just for the rare case in which the snow would not properly get collected by the hopper. But yeah, I tested this vigorously and it really never ever lost a snowball. So technically you could even get away with 0 snowballs, but you know, better safe than sorry. So, believe it or not, that is actually more or less the entire thing complete. I can just demonstrate this to you by having a command block set up that automatically places a sapling right there, so I don't have to sit there. So let's just turn it on. As you can see, it placed a birch sapling, and then of course turn the tree farm on like this. And it will feed all the logs right into the wither. And as you can see, it will also shoot a snowball every time that moves. And it will always stay at the same amount of snowballs like you are just seeing right there, because it will break the snow layer that is inside of there and will refeed it into there. As you can see, we're having our first logs that are being broken by the wither. They'll get pushed into this position, and well, everything gets collected down there, which is pretty awesome. And like I said, that's pretty much the entire thing complete. So there you go, this is the tree farm with wither cage complete. And you can't believe me how long it took for me to design a thing. It took at least 30 tries to design it. And well, a few last things I would like to say before I end this video is that you are going to want to build this in the end dimension, because if you build it in the overworld, then things will happen such as undead mobs not burning in daylight, and that will stay persistent until the server restarts or you relog into your world. And that is something you have to consider, so I would recommend building it in the end dimension, although it is not utterly necessary. And the other things that I have said before, obviously, is that the wither cage design is from JX67. So JX67 is a very cool guy. He's not very active anymore, but his Bedrock tech is still very present in the community. And well, like I said, this handles 4 types of trees. It handles oak, spruce, birch, and jungle. And yeah, apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, because I spent so much time on this. It's actually incredible. And also check out my Patreon page and maybe consider supporting me, because well, it's only thanks to my Patreon supporters that I was confident enough to keep on trying this, and in my over 30 tries I finally made something that sort of works. And yeah, I think this will be very cool to you people. Of course there's better designs out there, but hey, it is my own and it works fine and all that. So again, consider subscribing, because I do post interesting stuff like this on a regular basis, and I think you will find it very interesting. But with that being said, thanks for watching, bye!